that information as soon as possible, and it is about the new information on that horrific crash this afternoon at Daytona International Speedway. The video is incredible. Here it is, the final lap, seconds before the finish line, then disaster. A rookie racer's car is sent hurtling into the fence, protecting the grandstand. It breaks into flaming pieces, and a tire and other debris fly through and over the fence. At least 17 fans were injured, one critically. No drivers were hurt. Joe Carter, CNN Sports, is there, standing by for us, along with associate producer John Newsom. Let's start with Joe. Joe, what can you tell us about the injured now?
Well, we're still waiting for an update, Don. I mean, we do know that, like you said, no drivers hurt in this. All 12 cars that were involved in the accident, all 12 drivers were checked out at basically the track hospital. It's a standard operating procedure for NASCAR to have these drivers checked. They were all looked at. They were all released. We're expecting Joey Chitwood, the Daytona International Speedway president, and Steve O'Donnell with NASCAR, both of them are expected to make an announcement at 7 p.m. Hopefully give us some more information on the spectators that were injured and to the degree that they were injured. We're also expecting an announcement on whether or not they're going to be able to start this race at 1 p.m. Eastern. I mean, that's less than 17 hours from now, and you got to figure the amount of damage that was done to the retaining wall, that was done to the catch fence, that was done to the seats. It's going to take quite a lot of manpower and a lot of time to fix that. So I guess we'll be waiting to see when we get that announcement whether or not they're actually going to be able to start the race at 1 p.m. Eastern, Don.
Exactly, and we had video earlier from our affiliate WESH of them repairing that retaining wall, and whether or not that can be fixed in time, because, Joe, that's really what saves the spectators in the event of an horrific event like this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the catch fence did its job for the most part and was able to prevent a lot more injuries, perhaps even death. But anytime, you know, NASCAR is a very dangerous sport. I mean, the drivers understand that when they get behind the wheel with a practice or a race. But anytime you get fans involved, it's, you know, you expect as a fan that you're not going to get caught up in that type of situation. You expect to be sitting in a seat and you want to be close to the action, but you don't expect to be part of a dangerous sport. So as you said, we'll hopefully get an update here soon from both Joey Chitwood and Steve O'Donnell so we can find out some more information, Tom.
How much do you think the injured will play into whether or not this race will go on in time tomorrow?
Well, obviously, if there's a fatality involved, it may have an impact on the start time or whether or not they decide to run the race at all. I mean, I would imagine that NASCAR, because it's its most prestigious race, I mean, it's the richest race, it's the biggest race, often referred to as the Super Bowl of racing for the sport. You know, they're expecting a couple 100,000 people, both inside the track and around. You know, millions are going to be tuning in because of the Danica Patrick factor, the fact that she's going to be making history starting from the front row. So I think it's going to be very difficult for NASCAR to cancel the race. I wouldn't be surprised if NASCAR pushes back the start time a few hours to make sure that they have enough time to repair that retaining wall, that they have enough time to fix that catch fence. And then you've got to think about the seats that were in the grandstand that were also destroyed. I mean, if fans expect to be able to have a safe experience, and they want to make sure that that fence is completely repaired and up to code and up to standards so that in case, God forbid, there is another crash tomorrow, that nothing will be able to go through that catch fence.
All right, Joe Carter. Joe, absolutely. Stand by. I want to show our viewers we're also awaiting a press conference. They're getting ready for it to start now. The person we want to hear speak, Joe Chitwood, has not walked up to the microphones, but as soon as it starts, we will get to you. They are preparing for it now. They're going to update you on this horrific accident that happened at Daytona. Two major news events happening this weekend, this one and also the Catholic Church. But before we do that, I want to go to our producer who is there as well. John Newsom is on the ground. John, what do you see now? You were there. You took pictures of this event as it was happening. You also noticed from the stands. Okay, I'm being told by a producer, let's go to Joe Chitwood in this press conference.
Reported 14 people off property and treated 14 people at our on-track care center. We're in the process of repairing this facility and we'll be ready to go racing tomorrow.
Yeah, on behalf of NASCAR, I certainly want to echo Joey's statements about the fans that were injured here today. You know, our thoughts are certainly with them and their families. As far as our drivers are concerned, all that were involved in the last lap accident have been treated and released from the infield care center. We did have one driver that was transported earlier during the race, Michael and Annette. He has been treated, and he will be at the hospital and is remaining there. Joey talked about the track, and the track's currently underway repairing the fencing. We're very confident that we'll be ready for tomorrow's event with the 55th running of the Daytona 500. But, as with any of these incidents, we'll conduct a thorough review. We'll work closely with the tracks as we do for all of our events, learn what we can, and see what we can apply in the future.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jory. Listen, we'll take a handful of questions, and we're going to start back there with George Diaz.
Yeah, for either Joey or Steve, George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. Do you have any idea in terms of the seriousness of the injuries involving the fans who were hurt?
George, I'd have to refer you to Halifax for any conditions of the patients. It's not appropriate for me to comment on that.
Bob Pockrass, I think you had a question.
Bob Pockrass, Sporting News. What sections of stands were most of the people injured, and do you know what they were hit with?
At this point, as we responded to the incident, we transported immediately those patients that needed critical assistance. We'll review ourselves in terms of where the debris flew and what we need to do with that, but it was the grandstands immediately outside of the fence where the car hit.
Nate Ryan.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Besides replacing that section of fence and taking it all down, are you going to make any other changes for the race tomorrow as regards to safety?
At this point, after every event, we review our property, both from an asphalt perspective and a fencing perspective. And so we did that after the duels, after our truck race. We'll do the same thing to make sure that we're ready for tomorrow. As a property that's been here for over 55 years, we make sure we make the right investments in our property. The only change that will occur with the fencing that goes back, we will not have time to put the crossover gate that was there. So it'll be strict fencing for tomorrow.
Take a couple more, Jenna.
AP, Steve, Joey just mentioned the crossover gate, and I assume that was the point of impact. It seems that the most serious incidents involving fences are when the crossover gate is involved. Is there something that NASCAR can do going forward, or studies or anything that can be looked at to prevent this?
I think we look at this after every incident. We've certainly learned from those in the past. Some of the protocols that have been put in place today are as a result of prior incidents. So again, our initial evaluation is still ongoing, but it's certainly something that we'll look at. If we can improve upon it, we'll absolutely put that in play as soon as we can.
Let's go with Alan right here, and then maybe a couple more after that. Alan?
Oh, sorry. Alan Cavano, NASCAR.com. Will fans be seated in those sections tomorrow? Do you anticipate having to move anything around in terms of fans?
No, we don't anticipate moving any of our fans. We had our safety protocols in place. Our security maintained a buffer that separates the fans from the fencing area. And with the fence being prepared tonight to our safety protocols, we expect to go racing tomorrow with no changes.